So I've got my initial plans for using this oil thermostat. So these oil thermostats they have 4 ports, and basically one is diverted away from an oil cooler, and the other is diverted through an oil cooler when an engine oil temperature is above or getting close to 80 degrees C. I imagine that it's going to open like a car radiator thermostat as well, so it'll be gradual. Right, so here's my initial plan. What I'm thinking about doing, and I feel like I've cracked it, but I might not have. So initially, what I'm thinking is my diesel tank on the car. The diesel tank, I will feed a closed loop when the fuel is below 80 degrees C, and I'll feed it with 4 psi from a facet fuel pump, because I know that they'll pump diesel, and I know that they don't really like vegetable oil. So what I'm planning on doing is just using 4 psi on the facet. Now there's a reason for that, and that's because it is low pressure. Now the tandem pump on the VWPD engines, they can use round about 8 psi. So I'm doubling the amount of pressure that the other circuit's going to have. And with the use of non-return valves, I'm going to be blocking off the flow of that 4 psi pump when the oil thermostat opens at 80 degrees C. So as the oil thermostat sees fuel temperatures approaching or reaching above 80 degrees C, this pump here with its relief system is already going to have built up 8 psi of head pressure in this area, because it's going to be pushing against that non-return valve, and it's not going to have any flow through this oil thermostat until it reaches 80 degrees C. So this is what I think will happen. So I will build up head pressure with the pump just running as I turn the ignition on. The engine's going to warm the fuel up in this circuit with its 4 psi pump, supplying the tandem pump in this loop. And as that warms up, the oil thermostat is going to start cracking open, and that 8 psi of pressure is going to shut off the 4 psi facet fuel pump, because when they get up to pressure, they just stop. So the back pressure in this line and against this non-return valve will stop the 4 psi facet pump from working automatically using pressure. And that's going to allow fuel to come from my oil tank and enter the loop in this position here. So then, with this oil thermostat open, the loop's going to remain hot, and it's going to stay open, hopefully. Now the other thing is the purge cycle. So what I'm planning on there is when purging, I'm going to just open open a three-way valve on the return line from the tandem pump. So I'm going to block off this circuit here, and I'm going to just return fuel back to the oil tank. Now my idea there is that the heat is going to dissipate in the oil tank, and that means, so the heat's going to dissipate into the oil tank, and then I think I've made a bit of balls up then, because I don't know how it's going to then fill with diesel. Oh yeah, I can see it. I can see what I'm doing now. So basically, it's going to dissipate heat into the oil tank, and then as that heat's dissipated, the oil thermostat is going to shut off, and it's going to open this circuit here, because it's going to block off that 8 psi of pressure, because the oil thermostat is going to shut off because the heat's been dissipated into the oil tank. So it's automatically going to shut off. The head pressure will build the 8 psi head pressure in this area again, and because the pressure's dropped in the loop, the 4 psi can then push fresh fuel into the tandem pump and straight out and return it back to the oil tank. I think I've got it. I think I've nailed it. However, I'm pretty certain there's going to be a fair few knowledgeable guys on here that's going to be able to pull my plan apart and help me rebuild it better. But the idea is to have as minimal electrical input as possible, and having had the three-way valves in the past, they've been one of the weak points, so I'm wanting to steer away from those as much as possible. So I'm wanting to use this oil thermostat, this beast here, to switch over the feeds automatically, and I'm going to use pressure to stop the diesel flow from the facet, because I'm going to have a non-return valve, and the facet's going to be pushing against 8 psi, and it's only going to be rated for 4 psi. I think I've nailed it. Hope you like my plans.